They came uninvited. My sister at the front, arms crossed, lips pressed thin. Behind her, my parents, silent shadows, their disapproval heavy as smoke. I stood in the doorway, the chain still hooked, their eyes burning into me as if I owed them something. I didn't flinch. I just smiled, calm and deliberate, because they had no idea the war they were walking into. I used to believe family was untouchable. Blood meant loyalty. When I was younger, my sister and I were inseparable. I covered for her, defended her, even sacrificed my own time so she could live freely. She leaned on me like I was a crutch she never had to thank. And I let her, because back then I thought love excused everything. But people reveal their nature slowly, drip by drip. And when the mask finally slips, it's never by accident. It began with the vacation, my first in years. I planned it carefully, time off secured, tickets booked, an itinerary that was mine alone. For once, I wasn't bending to anyone else. Then the demand came. Can you move your dates? It'll be easier for me and the kids if you just plan around us. I laughed at first, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. She was serious. She expected me to pay, to adjust, to orbit her world like everyone else did. When I said no, the fury was instant. Accusations, guilt trips, late-night messages about how selfish I was. My parents joined in, silent at first, then vocal, their disappointment like daggers. I didn't argue, I didn't fight, I just stepped back. Blocked numbers, muted chats, ignored the noise. 2 months of silence. 2 months where I finally tasted peace. Until tonight. They stood on my doorstep as if summoned by their own entitlement. My sister's voice cracked the quiet first. 2 months, and you ignore your own family? What's wrong with you? I unhooked the chain and opened the door wider, not to welcome them in, but to let them see what I'd prepared. Because I hadn't been idle. I don't waste pain, I use it. In those 2 months, I collected everything. Every message where they insulted me. Every voicemail dripping with manipulation. Screenshots, recordings, the kind of evidence that speaks louder than any defense. But I didn't stop there. I called my employer, explained the harassment, the stress. I filed quiet complaints, documented everything. Because when you build your case brick by brick, no one notices until the wall surrounds them. And then I made changes they didn't expect. I rewrote my will. I cut financial ties. I removed them as emergency contacts. I stripped away every lever they thought they could pull. By the time I was done, they had no access to me, no claim, no power. All that was left was the performance. "Come in," I said, stepping aside. They hesitated. Maybe it was the calm in my voice. Maybe it was the way the room looked, neat, ordered, too quiet. But they entered anyway, like sheep into a pen. We sat. The silence stretched until my sister snapped. "You've been avoiding us, acting like we're strangers. You think you're better than us?" I slid my phone across the table. On the screen, a folder. Their words, their attacks, every ugly sentence they thought would disappear. Her face drained. My parents stiffened. "This," I said softly, "is who you are to me now. Not family, not support. Just noise I learned to mute." She reached for the phone. I pulled it back. "You came here for a fight, but I don't fight anymore. I document, I prepare, and I cut out what poisons me." The weight of my words sank into them slowly. My father tried to speak, but my mother silenced him with a glance. My sister's fury turned brittle, desperate. "You can't just erase us." "I already have." I stood, calm, final. "I owe you nothing. Not my time, not my peace, not my life." And then I opened the door again, the night air spilling in like a verdict. "Leave." They didn't move at first, but eventually they filed out, my sister last, her eyes sharp with a hatred she couldn't disguise. She wanted to scream, to claw, to drag me back into her storm. But storms die when there's nothing left to destroy. I closed the door behind them, locked it, and let the silence return. This is the thing about betrayal. It teaches you where the knives are hidden, but it also shows you how to wield them. I didn't need to scream or beg or prove my worth. I just needed to take back the power I'd handed over years ago. Now, when I think of family, I don't think of obligation. I think of choice, and I chose myself.